Vivek Ramaswamy posted a long tweet a few days ago where he pointed out the cultural issues that America has regarding poor work ethic, our failing education system, and just being comfortable with mediocrity. Now, there were many on the right who were offended by his suggestion that Americans are falling behind and that perhaps we don't have our priorities straight, Nikki Haley being one of them. But was he wrong? Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you being here, whether this is the first time you have clicked on one of my videos or you are a returning supporter. Do me a couple favors, hit the thumbs up, also help me to grow this channel and reach my next goal of 25,000 subscribers, and hit that subscribe button now. And also turn on your notifications so that you never miss out on a conversation like the one we're about to have. So over the last few days, a conversation has been sparked online about what our priorities are as a nation and whether we are prepared to compete with the top talent across the globe in the rapidly advancing areas of technology, engineering, and medicine. This, as I'm sure you're aware by now, was started when Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy suggested that bringing in top talent from other parts of the globe to work for our interests in these specialty elite positions would help keep America competitive with other countries, namely China and India, who have no problem recruiting the best of the best and to do whatever they have to do to dominate in these industries. Now, in response to Vivek's long tweet about how we do need to up our game and perhaps reevaluate our priorities and get ourselves back on the right track, Nikki Haley was one of the first to fire back at this suggestion that maybe we're not doing as well as we could be. And this was her tweet. She says, "There's nothing wrong with American workers or American culture. All you have to do is look at the border and see how many want what we have. We should be investing and prioritizing in Americans, not foreign workers." Now, my initial response to Nikki's statement is that first, prioritizing and investing in Americans is precisely what Vivek is asking us to do. He prompted us as a nation to improve our overall mindset regarding hard work, which will benefit and invest in future American workers. Also, there's a vast difference between large caravans of people coming to America to take advantage of Democrat-sponsored freebies or to enrich the human and drug trafficking cartels versus attracting the most brilliant minds in the world to help our country take the lead in things like technological advancements. What I worry about from Miss Haley's tweet and the many I saw that kind of echoed the same idea is that on the right, maybe we're becoming as incapable of recognizing the root cause of a problem so that we can fix it as the left has become known for, and that we're getting personally offended as quickly as they do, which keeps us from being able to focus on an issue for what it is so that we can actually do something about it. We do have issues in this country with our failing education system, and we do have issues in this country with our younger generations getting useless college degrees, with not wanting to work a 9-to-5 job because they view it as some kind of modern day slavery, and with everyone and everything involved in our children's lives as they're growing up, from parents to teachers to counselors to social media and entertainment, failing to instill discipline and focus into these young people and instead devaluing those things and coddling and excusing bad behavior, which is creating a massive group of young adults who are incapable of handling the real world. This is something I have talked about countless times on my channel. So if I can see what's happening, it really makes me scratch my head when someone like Nikki Haley, who wanted to be president, doesn't think that we need to acknowledge it. Let's have a look at a few different things and you tell me, do we have a problem or not? First, a huge point amongst those who voted for Trump during this election was the idea of abolishing the Department of Education. A lot of people are in support of this, as we've seen wokeness infiltrate everything from kindergarten to the highest levels of university to master's and PhD programs. We've seen school board meeting after school board meeting after school board meeting where parents are showing up to scold their district leadership for allowing children to have sexually explicit books available in the public library, for allowing teachers to tell kids that they can pick their gender, and inviting drag queens into their classrooms to read to these kids, because teaching inclusivity is more important to radicalized educators than math, science, and reading. This has been a huge issue over the last several years, which seemed to come to light, especially during COVID when all of our kids were at home learning and we got a glimpse of some of the materials that they were being exposed to. So it doesn't make sense to me how we can suddenly flip our own script and get offended when Vivek makes a post that points out exactly the things that we've all been talking about for a long time. Tulsi Gabbard had this conversation with PragerU not that long ago, where I feel like she summed up at least part of why the argument of abolishing the Department of Education has become a popular idea.
Well, we got to get rid of the Federal Department of Education. And I thought, like, that sounds like a really extreme, radical idea. When you look at the metrics of performance and effectiveness of our federally controlled education system in this country, we have about half of people graduating from high school functionally illiterate. Those who are taking away our freedom, our individual rights and liberties, in this case, the right of a parent to make the best decision for the child that they know best, to take away that right because of power.
The Department of Education, there is so much proof that it's wrong and that we've been brainwashed to think that the government will do better than the parents.
Hold them to account and say, okay, if you feel that the Federal Department of Education is critical to our children in this country having a quality education, being set up for success, show me. Show me those metrics that prove your thesis, that prove your point, and they can't.
As far as I know, most of us agree that we don't have the metrics to show that our education system is succeeding. And it's not because we don't have the resources to provide a good education. It's because we have a lot of people in this country who align with the goals of this current administration to dumb down America's future workers, who want to teach kids that their skin color is the only thing that matters while they minimize merit. This recent article points out how intentional those efforts have been, with the Democrat education objectives on full display. Says the U.S. Department of Education spent at least $1 billion on grants advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in hiring, programming, and mental health training in America's schools since 2021, according to a new report. Parents Defending Education, or PDE, a right-leaning organization that pledges to reclaim our schools from activists imposing harmful agendas, shared its new report exclusively with Fox News Digital. Researchers at the organization poured through nearly 4 years of publicly available data from the Department of Education to determine the numbers of grants and the dollar amount awarded to students and school districts for grants that had a clear DEI motive. I mean, can you imagine what progress we could make with that funding if our goals were to reinstate things like shop class and home ec, or teaching budgeting or other life skills, pushing our kids to work hard and to want to be the best of the best? While we're teaching our kids that they can be a they or a them or a Z or a zer, or telling Black kids that they're inherently disadvantaged and shouldn't even try, or that if our kids are white, that they should hold themselves back and not even try so they don't make anybody else feel bad, China is actually instilling skills in their young kids from a very young age. Undeniable that other nations are getting stronger while America has gotten weaker and weaker, and that has been intentional. The wokeness that has infiltrated our education system from the ground up has been geared toward teaching kids that political activism and being an ally of some kind is the most important kind of education that you can have. And I think one of the many examples of that is when we see thousands of college kids who have the time to set up tents all over their college campuses in favor of a cause that they think is life-changing, yet it doesn't seem to be a problem to them when they can't articulate what it is that they're standing up for. All that matters is that they're ready to demonstrate and to destroy things. The reason isn't important.
What would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU is doing.
Is there something that NYU is doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU is doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here? here.
Palestine will be free.
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
And while we know that there have always been political activist groups on college campuses to some degree, and that's not actually the problem, the fact that this kind of behavior is becoming the rule and not the exception should be yet another wake-up call. These kids are being trained to burn things down, not to build things up. So why would we expect that they would want to contribute to America's success when we've seen time and time again that they will jump at any opportunity to denigrate, to belittle, to tarnish any symbol that represents the country that they live in? Top of that, we've all been talking about the failure of education from these liberal universities when these kids are graduating with thousands of dollars in debt and a degree that they can't actually use.
And my concentration is environmental science and sustainable business.
Hi, my name is Lex, and my concentration is the performance of self.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. My concentration is creative direction, production, and narrative through the arts, performance, and written word.
Hi, my name is Karina Gomez, and my concentration is in journalism and Latin American studies, with an emphasis in human rights, collective memory, and political violence.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Lee, and I studied the sociology of environmental communication. Hi, my name is Reed, and I study music business and gender studies.
Hi, my name is Dominique, and I studied care politics with a minor in disability studies.
My name is Elliot Wright, and my concentration is art as a social mechanism.
I could go on and on with this, but as I've said, this isn't anything new. These are all things that we've all been acknowledging and fighting against for years because we want our kids of all races, backgrounds, religions, etc., to get the education that we clearly have the resources to provide them. And we're all frustrated with how badly they've been failed because they are intentionally not being prepared to contribute to the success and prosperity of America. On our current trajectory, I don't know how we can get better if we don't recognize it. Teachers are quitting in droves due to massively decreasing standards, no support from administration, bad student behavior, and not being able to do the job that they actually want to do. Every day, a new video or report comes out about student violence, throwing desks and chairs, hitting teachers, and almost killing their own peers, and it's just getting worse and worse. And if we think that it's bad for Gen Z, wait until we see how far behind Gen Alpha is going to be. But for Gen Beta, which are the kids that are being born now, we do have the chance to turn things around. We've also repeatedly talked about the lack of work ethic in today's young adults. I've done several videos where I've highlighted how these guys don't even want to work a 9-to-5, that they think the work system that has been accepted by past generations is completely ridiculous and just another sign of systemic oppression in America. They cry about having to work full time and not having enough time to socialize, to create content for social media, or to just zone out on TikTok. There was a report that came out in 2024 that I also talked about on this channel that showed how unprepared Gen Z is to take on adult responsibilities as more and more companies are firing these guys at a record pace and now even refusing to hire them because they're unreliable, difficult to work with, self-centered, and immature. Again, I ask, do we have a problem or not? Because it seems like we all agreed that we have things we need to fix until Vivek Ramaswamy pointed it out, and then suddenly we got offended and Nikki Haley jumped in to help us to deny reality. It kind of sounds like the mom of the bratty child who wreaks havoc on everyone around them, yet she defends her kids' bad behavior and insists that what they're doing is totally normal. As far as whether or not we have enough of our own talent to fill the elite roles that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are talking about, I don't know. I'm not an expert in those areas, but from what I've heard from a few people that are from the tech industry, HB1 visas are common and almost necessary if you want to stay competitive in those areas. And those are the areas they were referring to, not every industry in America. But the thing is, we do have the ability to be the best of the best and to produce our own elite talent. But I don't think we can argue that we've done that with the last couple of generations. Do we have smart young adults? Of course we do. Do we have capable, intelligent, hardworking people? Of course we do. Using Elon Musk's sports team analogy, the best in the state is not the best in the country, and the best in the country is not the best in the world. And if we don't recruit the best talent to work for American interests, they will be recruited by the competing team. And while we might have the best in our own country playing on our team, when they do go up against the world's best, they will fall short. If we put a state champion against an Olympian, we'd all expect the Olympian to win no matter how good the state champion is. Anyway, my focus of this conversation is to simply remind people that it's okay for us to point out our own problems. That's the only way we can fix them. I'm not arguing in favor of replacing Americans and shoving them to the side, but if we truly want America to be first again, then it needs to start at the bottom with our kindergartners, with our middle and high schoolers, with our college students, in our homes, with our families, in our churches, and with our values. Not advocating to replace American workers or to ignore the rampant abuse of many immigration programs. I'm just asking us to be honest with ourselves about where we're at so that we can correct course where it needs to be corrected. We can absolutely create a society of hard workers who can take on the world's best. In a lot of ways, up until now, our coaches have been keeping our kids on the sideline and not preparing them to even step on the court. Enough with the sports analogies. I hope you get what I'm saying. But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. If for some reason you take from this that I'm not American enough, or that I'm still wanting to put America last, or that I don't understand the issue, then I don't know what to tell you. But I do hope that you will subscribe so that we can keep having these important conversations. If you'd like to support my channel in other ways, you can click on the pinned comment below and buy me a coffee. Your generosity is always appreciated. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.